Mainstream schools do an awful lot of good work to try and meet the needs of all their children, but they have an ever-depleting budgets and ever-increasing range of needs of young people. Young people's mental health problems are increasing, so what we see are more extreme young people in terms of their mental health needs and an ever decreasing age of young people. So the age of the young people that are being referred to us are much younger. Our primary referrals have gone up 500% over the last 5 years. So I take my hat off to mainstream schools for how they cope with what they do, but our young people require something more individual than that to meet their needs effectively, and that's what we're able to offer.
I was actually for mainstream education because I feel that I didn't fit into a mould they wanted me to fit in. There was a build-up of different situations from little things like, mild disruption in the classroom to wearing orange socks.
I didn't go to lessons, I'd refuse, and then me and my cousin used to leave sight and stuff, and then police would get phoned, and I just refused to go back to lesson and wouldn't go.
The bullying progressively got worse and worse and worse. Got severely depressed, actually had suicidal thoughts and self-harm. And then one day I received a text from a person in my school saying, "Bring a knife into school." And stupidly I did.
I decided one day that I was going to wear orange socks to school because I thought, I can wear orange socks. You can't tell me what socks I'm going to wear because I am my own person and I always have been and I always will be. And I was given a lunchtime detention for wearing said socks that I walked into and said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm really not doing this.
The children we have here have, for a variety of reasons, found it difficult to cope with the mainstream environment. So we bring them to a smaller environment, a more nurturing environment, and the class sizes are reduced, so there's less anxieties and stress for them, and a greater amount of adult support, so we can help them to engage with their learning more effectively and with less anxieties and stress upon them.
We're in the hospital schoolroom right now, and we're here to support the education of children who are in hospital. They're inpatients. Our role is to really keep them focused on their education. We do a lot of art. We might liaise with the school and actually carry on with their stuff they're doing in their curriculum. Children who are possibly with CHES already, who then we can liaise with CHES, with their home tutor, and make sure that while they're in hospital they have that normality. I think that's what we're mainly here for, is for those children, to give them normality, to keep them focused on education really.
I'm not in mainstream education because I struggle with mental health issues, which can make it very difficult for me to leave the house or get into lessons, and the online aspect of CHES helps with that. I've got my GCSEs coming up soon, and afterwards I hope to move on to a college where I can work on my aspiration to be a marine biologist.
I was at Truro School for year 7, started in year 7, absolutely loved it. I was really healthy, really sporty, loved all sorts of sports. Had a couple of fainting episodes, but I was told that, it's just a simple faint, it's absolutely fine, there's no need to worry. So used to have one, used to go to school the next day, used to be absolutely fine. And then one day I had to be resuscitated in class, which was rough. And then my health kind of deteriorated from there.
But I can honestly say every single teacher from CHES, which is now Wave Academy, who came into our home, was just an absolute credit to them. We really do feel as parents that they brought out the very best in Anae. And without them, there is no doubt that she wouldn't have done as well as she did, and on time with her GCSEs. She got exceptionally high grades. It was a lot to do with her own hard work as well, but we were fully supported by CHES, and we were eternally grateful.
The idea behind it was that we would have a space that we owned and therefore could control, to allow our young people to experience nature, and to experience woodcraft skills within a controlled setting, that we didn't have to worry that we would upset the landlord or the landowner, that we could fully control. Wave is now the most successful alternative provision MAT in the country, in England. That's both by Ofsted outcome and in terms of the outcomes of young people, which is fantastic, obviously, because that's about our young people being successful in Devon and Cornwall. And I think that infects them with courage and enthusiasm and hope and love. And that's what we're here in the business to do, is to provide a support network for the most challenging and vulnerable young people across the Southwest, and to enable them to shoot for the stars.
Well, I did my GCSEs with Ches, did quite well, which I'm happy about. So I'm at college at the moment, Truro College, doing psychology, biology and law, and I want to do neuroscience. So got to put in my uni application this time next year, but it is going really well, which is lovely.
So I'm doing some more GCSEs this year, and hoping to get through all of them. I'm planning to go to Duchy College and do the Military and Protective Services course there. Then hopefully after that, either, depending on where I stand, go into the Royal Marines or the Royal Navy. Yeah.
What's it like at Penrith?
It's alright, they're really supportive there. So I'm 16 now and I will be hoping to do GCSEs.
I walked into Carradon and it just felt, it felt really homely. Like, it sounds really, really stupid, but it was just, it was nice. I'd walked into a school and I thought, there's so many people here that are like me. But there was still order, there was still rules, there was still all these different things, but it was so watered down and it was so nice. I've done better than a year and a half at Carradon than I would have ever done at school. So my next steps, I'm going to start a degree at Bath Spa, doing a primary teaching pathway in September, which I'm really shocked actually that I'm doing. I never ever saw myself doing it, but I wouldn't have been able to do it had I not been kicked out of school.
There's an old saying that the longer you're in the river, the higher the banks get. We want to stop these children. We want to get them out of the river as quickly as we possibly can. It's ironic that for the last 25 years I've been trying to make myself redundant, because it would be great in some ways if there was no alternative provision, because it means that schools would be able to meet the needs of all the children in their area. That's never going to happen, and so what a alternative provision needs to be is it needs to be high quality, it needs to be adventurous, it needs to meet the needs of our young people, both their emotional needs and their mental health needs, and it needs to be as high quality as we would expect a mainstream school to be for our own children.